So first off, we got the Texans and the Ravens. So to Colin's point, let's talk about who's going to be the make or break player on each team, where it's like if they're going to win, they got to play well. So kick us off first, Texans. I've got a little bit of not necessarily one of their best players. I've got Devin Singletary, and
Oh,
I know weird, a little bit weird. Reason why I have him is CJ Stroud is obviously the best player, but because they're going to be playing obviously a tough matchup against the Ravens, they're going to hit him pretty hard here. So I think they really, really need to establish the run. That way they can get a little bit more action from, like, say, play action passes, screens, things like that. Because when the Texans are at their best, it's when Devin Singletary is killing it. So that's why I picked him.
yeah, I got to give you credit there. I wouldn't have thought about that, and especially a guy coming off of, what you thought would be the best part of his career in Buffalo as a part of that offense. Moving to a new team that everybody thought would be really underachieving this season compared to seasons past. That's a really good pick. I mean, I feel like such a jagoff for going for the low-hanging fruit in CJ Stroud here. I just think he's the motor that runs the whole team. He's the engine at the center of the team that that propels it forward. So for me, he's the X factor for the Texans. What do you think, Cam?
Yeah, both great options. A little bit of context for my picks. I decided I'm not going to go with any of the quarterbacks here this weekend. I feel like that's the easy option for a lot of these, and I wanted to pick the next most important player on each of the teams, in my opinion, or teams that players that are going to have a huge impact on the game, depending on how they perform. Now, one thing I will say, I love the Devin Singletary pick. Not only does establishing the run give you the option to set up the play action pass, put the defensive line a little bit on their heels, so you slow down that pass rush a little bit, which is going to be key against the Ravens, and that's a little sneak peek to my next pick, but for the Ravens. But for Houston, I think it's going to come down to Nico Collins getting separation downfield.
Yeah.
Frankly, if Nico Collins is covered, like blanketed for the first 2.5 seconds, which is very realistic with Marlon Humphrey as their cornerback, who's an absolute stud if you guys aren't super familiar with him. But if he's blanketed and he doesn't get open for the first 2 seconds with their pass rush, they're screwed. And he's their best receiver. Tank Dell, torn ACL or something like that, out for the year. I think it's gonna, frankly, the D line's gonna get theirs. You pretty much either have to get open quick or put them on your heels with establishing the run, like Devin Singletary. I don't have a ton of confidence in Houston's O-line personally, but against the Ravens D-line, to be clear. But anyways, that's my pick is Nico Collins.
Yeah, I agree, and I think we're all on the same page with the passing game is gonna be what wins them the game. But how do we make sure that the safeties, the linebackers are edging up a little bit, and that way too, you can get like Noah Brown or Dalton Schultz, same thing. You're just gonna have more separation for CJ Stroud to do his magic. To Colin's point, the CJ is the most important player on the team. If he has a bad game, none of this matters.
Yep.
But yeah, it kind of all ties together.
Yep. Y'all want to move on to the Ravens? Cool. Jadeveon Clowney.
Interesting. Okay.
So,
Pass rusher.
Obviously, I think the easy pick here is Lamar Jackson. He's probably about to win his MVP here in a couple weeks, or second MVP rather. But when I say Jadeveon Clowney, that comes with a little bit of an asterisk / the rest of the D-line. Mm-hmm. If you can get CJ Stroud off his rhythm, he is not going to have a good game. Rookie quarterbacks are absolutely atrocious if you get to them quick. You can't let them do that. I'm looking for blitz packages. Like I would get him off his rhythm as early as possible. And Jadeveon Clowney is one of their best edge rushers on the team. And there's some games where it seems like he turns invisible for them specifically. But I think him getting pressure is just a bonus supplement to their defense. And then, I mean, they have the best defense in the NFL, but he's the one player that I want to keep an eye on. Anyways, what do you guys think?
Yeah, Colin, what do you have?
Yeah, I thought I was gonna try to mix it up a little bit because like my first three here are all quarterbacks. So I'm just gonna say Lamar Jackson, specifically his run game. I think that's gonna be the difference here because, you know, like obviously they have weapons in their receiver core. They have pretty good running game, like independent of Lamar Jackson. But I think if he's really like juking dudes out of their fucking jock straps out here, like really just making the defense not confident about pursuing him, attacking him, you know, taking him out of the pocket, all that kind of stuff. I think that's going to be the difference in this game. Just him being as dynamic as he can be. Because like I genuinely don't think that, because the Ravens defense is it's okay, right? So you need to establish, I think, a really, really dynamic offense. And I think his run game is one of the bigger parts.
Do you mean the Texans defense?
Yeah, that's what I meant. Sorry.
No worries.
No, I agree with you, Colin, especially since Keaton Mitchell is out for the season. He was kind of one of their change of pace backs. You know, obviously they've got Gus for the big runs, or as a big back, and then they've got Justice Hill as like a little bit more of a pass catcher, and then he does a lot of special teams. But they don't have Keaton Mitchell anymore, and he was really turning into their big play threat out of the run game. So they're going to need a big game from Lamar. So my pick actually ties in a lot with what we talked about on where the Texans can take advantage of, and where, you know, if they really win in these areas, they're going to make it a game. So I went actually with the Ravens safety, Kyle Hamilton. So he's all pro this year. I believe he's a rookie. And part of that is that connection of CJ Stroud and Nico Collins is a game breaker. And if Kyle Hamilton's not getting beaten over the top, I'm not super worried about the Texans if I'm the Ravens. If they don't have, because the Texans, they do a lot of big plays, kind of like how the Buccaneers do, right? If you limit their big plays, they're a young team. They're going to make mistakes if they have a high volume of plays and a high volume of pass plays that are short ticky-tack passes. So I have him. Same thing with him not biting on the run game. It's kind of on him on, hey, I'm not going to let anybody get beat over the top. I'm the best safety on our team. So that's what I've got.
So one thing I want to say too is with picking the defensive or with picking Jadeveon Clowney, I think the Ravens can still win if Lamar Jackson has a bad game. I don't think that Houston can win if their offense has a down game. Simple as that. But I will, however, say I agree with you, Jake. I think they're going to keep the offense in front of them. I think it'd be kind of a miracle if Houston won this game. I think CJ Stroud's going to get steamrolled, but I hope he proves me wrong.